Your Honor? You simply weren't there.
Your Honor, my client clearly said, nuh-uh.
Your Honor, my client was just being a silly goose. Rape? Probably. Inflicting suffering is his favorite pastime. Would you put it past him? Your Honor, two things. One, how the f*** did you manage to get him arrested and into the courtroom? And two, you know he's just gonna kill us regardless of whether we convicted him or not, right? So you brought not only yourself, legal teams, and me into this, but you also brought in innocent civilians whose blood is now on the hands of whatever pea-brained idiot thought taking Ridley to court was a smart move. We're dead. There's no escaping this. Unless Samus shows up, and if she shows up, there's a guarantee that this whole complex will blow up within the day. So we're dead anyways. Well, my defense hangs heavily on a few important details. What laws are we using? What evidence do we have? When in the timeline is this? If it is past Super Metroid, any Ridley we see is a clone of some type, and cannot be held accountable for the original Ridley's crimes. Regardless, here it goes. Hate crimes. We have no evidence to indicate Ridley's motives were driven by hate of any protected demographic. Mass murder. Any involvement Ridley allegedly had in the attack of Colony K-12 cannot count as mass murder, as members of the Space Pirates were attacking the colony. A large-scale group assault would be considered an act of war by the pirates against the Federation researching there. Forced cannibalism. Ridley has never forced someone to eat anything, let alone their own species. Mutilation. This charge does not specify what Ridley is accused of mutilating, and thus the charge is invalid. Crimes against humanity. Crimes against humanity can only be acted against civilians during peacetime. This is not peacetime, but a war. Those living on Colony K2L were employed by the Federation to mine for a fluorite. They are government employees supporting the military, and are not civilians. Forced suicide. Ridley never forced anyone to do this. Vandalism. Again, no evidence. Cannibalism. Only one of Ridley's species has been shown to exist at a time, all cloned to himself. Cannibalism is impossible to our knowledge. Identity theft. No evidence. Attempted genocide. No evidence that any alleged violent crime was an attempt at genocide and not motivated by something else. Terrorism. Any alleged involvement with the Space Pirates is irrelevant, as all they did was coordinated attacks and military support of infrastructure as part of a war effort. Patricide. No evidence that Ridley killed his own father. Theft. Even if Ridley was involved with the Space Pirates, they left K-12 with no stolen materials. Fraud, rape, torture, abuse, attempted matricide, incrimination, bribery. No evidence. Kidnapping. The closest we could argue to such an event was my client's alleged involvement in the liberation of the baby Metroid for the purpose of saving a critically endangered species. The only evidence towards his involvement is testimony of Samus Aran, who is heavily biased. This cannot count as kidnapping, as the victim is 1, an animal, 2, kidnapped by the Federation to begin with. The creature was being given a better life, free from those trying to harm it at the Series Space Colony. Betrayal. No evidence. This is illegal. Aggression. No evidence that any aggression beyond what is reasonably expected by an individual in a war zone was ever displayed. Animal cruelty. No evidence. Any involvement in the revival of the Metroid species is basically the opposite of cruel. It's saving a species. Extortion, persecution, smuggling. No evidence. Fire. Not a crime. Arson. Only had the testimony of a 3-year-old. Attempted bribery. No evidence. Conspiracy. No evidence besides faulty testimonies can be given to prove that Ridley worked alongside anyone else. He was simply in the wrong places at the wrong time until proven otherwise. Violation. Not a crime. No evidence. Attempt for global domination. Not a crime. No evidence. The Federation has dominated many planets anyway. Tomb robbery, unlicensed surgery, no evidence. War crimes. War crimes is not a crime, just as much as crimes is not a crime. A specific one must be named to be a valid accusation. Home invasion, embezzlement, no evidence. Operation of a minor. What? What? Operation of a minor / car being run over and escape. What? Not a crime. Illegal arrest, slander, brainwash, falsification, no evidence. Piracy. Even if Ridley were involved with the space pirates, no evidence proves beyond reasonable doubt that Ridley himself ever committed piracy. Minor / child, no evidence. Child abuse, no evidence. Unfathomably based. Yeah. People know all of that. He's a good dude. Quote, Steven Universe. I mean, he taught no jutsu space Hitler. Ridley's nothing to bear. Let us not forget that in his later years he isn't afraid to murk someone. Your Honor, where is the proof that my client even committed these crimes? The only evidence the prosecution has provided is the testimony of one Samus Aran, who has committed genocide on a global scale on multiple occasions. Zealous, SR-388, ZDR, etc. These claims have no evidence to back them up, and I believe my client, Mr. Ridley, is being slandered and framed because of his appearance. You're adjusting your tie. You were born with a silver tongue and the charm of a court jester. You got this. First witness is a crying orphan Samus. Better start looking for a new job. Just you just gotta take the plea, bro. If we draw this up, I'll excuse both. Your Honor, the individual who committed these crimes is already dead. The one you brought to court is merely a clone. Yes, I'm aware he might retain memories of his past lives, but still, my point stands. You should definitely let him go. Attempted bribery? He's a cheapskate. $20 doesn't get you very far. You really are the most devious in the known universe. Meanwhile, Grieg. I mean, how could he get into a house with that fat donkey he got? By the way, how did he get into his arenas? Do they build him around him or something? Now we're asking the real questions. The goal isn't to get him off the hook, but to ensure a fair trial. That results in him getting the death penalty, so we can't seek revenge while he goes hiding. Samus was hired as bodyguard before, right? He's an alien, isn't subject to any Earth laws since he committed these crimes off-planet and isn't a citizen of Earth. And if that doesn't work, I've got to back him over. He's a fire-breathing space dragon. Try to put him in jail, I dare you. Your Honor, I ask you, how could you look at this poor, sweet, gentle creature and claim such false allegations against him? Your Honor, I invoke the Fifth. Your Honor, I give up. I can't defend this. See you next mission. Man, I better call my trusty friend Saul. Your Honor, he did it to give Samus character development. I rest my case. Your Honor, he was simply for the bit. I will not defend this obnoxious Samus obliteratum. Your Honor, my client is a dragon, an animal. Are we going to sue dogs and cats, Your Honor? I am sure he had some successful genocides under his belt, not just attempted ones. Your Honor, he clearly plays insanity. Just let him talk. Oh. What? Yeah! We live in a society. Bottom text. I think it's right. Not taking that bullet. Fireball, inner blast, whatever. No! I'm just a caveman. I'm not accustomed to your pew-pew laser guns and alien batteries. But there's one thing I do know, and that's protecting the tribe, and it seems to me that everything Ridley has done has been to protect his tribe from these rascal Iran. Which, I might add, has proven to be a well-founded concern, as one such Samus Aran has repeatedly killed his comrades, vandalized their premises, stolen their valuable tech, committed grave robbery on grounds that were their responsibility, and ultimately destroyed multiple planets in their care. Let the evidence show that those were self-defense genocide. What is that line? We would like to settle. And we love him for it. Never change, big guy. Your Honor, he's just a silly little fella. Can you truly send someone to prison for being a silly little whimsy boy? They'll just kill the courtroom. Chewbacca defense! Your Honor, members of the jury, my client is guilty. However, my client is a terrifying alien pteranodon dragon. He is closer to an animal than he is a sapient creature. Despite supposedly speaking in the prequel manga, the way Screech has been on screen and visible in the games. Therefore, I propose to the court that Ridley is an animal. You could no more imprison a bear than you could my client. Rather, when an animal engages in nefarious behavior, they are put down. Now, would you like to try putting my client down? Yeah, my entire defense is just getting the jury to try and kill Ridley, and then hoping that Ridley wins the fight. Lol. Hope Samus isn't a jerk. Don't think she'd be allowed given her connection with the case, so alone. Your Honor, how many times has my client died? It should seem obvious that these crimes are simply committed by another member of my client's species, and the prosecution is simply too racist to tell the defense between a long-dead criminal and my obviously innocent client. I guess the OJ defense. Your Honor, he's fine! Oh. I need some water. Much better. Your Honor, he's coming to kill us all! Please lock down the courtroom before he arrives, as we are fast! Your Honor, my client is not guilty, and I have two pieces of evidence. One, there's a fucking dragon in the courtroom! Two, we'll see tomorrow. Your Honor, in my defense, I am a silly goose. That is a good defense, not guilty. Wait a minute! Your Honor, this is an evidence. Bribery and attempted bribery? We're getting 1-6, son of a... Objection! There is zero evidence that my client even committed any of those crimes. Your Honor, my client pleads guilty, Daisy. Your Honor, guilty as charged. This excuse of a living being. Your Honor, the charges are an absurdity. Consider this. Is a scorpion a villain because it stings? Is the spider evil? Is it traps and eats its prey? Who are we to reject our own sense of morality onto sentient beings whose only crime is to survive? I agree that, to the misinformed, Ridley may appear controversial, but he is a fighter, last of his kind, living under constant threat of a bounty over his head by a woman who destroyed several planets, who is yet to contribute in any meaningful way to Federation society, including taxes. Also, to add that it was her father, and not Ridley's volunteers, that set off the power plant going nuclear. Ridley was with the settlers at the time when it struck. In fact, it's thanks to Ridley that Samus' mother lives on. Despite being last of its kind, Ridley structured a large organization under a leadership that, if he was human, would be lauded as one of our greatest generals of all time. But of course, it's always easy for the courts to look out and fixate on appearance that is easy to call scaremongering if we look within ourselves and acknowledge our own flaws. To try and convict a noble being on presumptuous morality and ethics that are not compatible with his nature to survive, being last of his kind, with threat of extinction. Are we sure we know what a monster is? Or are we too afraid to call it out? So real monster being Samus Aran! Signed, Manfred von Karma.残酷な天使の手で窓辺からやがて飛び立つほとばしる熱いパトスで思い出を裏切るな My voice doesn't go that high. Fuck yeah!